Tonight, before you fall asleep, try something unusual. Turn off every light. Put your phone away. Sit in complete darkness for just 1 minute. At first, it feels peaceful. Then something strange begins to happen. Your ears seem sharper. Every tiny sound feels louder. Shadows start to look alive. Your imagination begins filling the darkness with things that probably aren't there. It's an uncomfortable feeling. But for almost every human who has ever lived, this wasn't unusual. It was every single night. Long before cities, electricity, streetlights, or glowing screens, darkness wasn't something humans escaped. It was half of life itself. For more than 300,000 years, your ancestors watched the sun disappear, knowing that the world had just become a far more dangerous place. There were no porch lights, no flashlights, no headlights stretching across distant roads. When night arrived, it swallowed everything. The familiar landscape disappeared. The forest became invisible. Even the people standing a few steps away faded into the blackness. And yet, humans didn't simply close their eyes and wait for morning. They talked. They laughed. They planned. They dreamed. They stared into flickering flames and told stories that would outlive generations. Some even woke in the middle of the night on purpose, not because something was wrong, but because that's how the human brain naturally worked. The more scientists uncover about the ancient night, the stranger it becomes. Many of the things we think are completely normal today would have seemed impossible to our ancestors. And many things they considered perfectly normal would sound bizarre to us. So what really happened after the sun disappeared? How did people survive when darkness belonged to predators? Why did some of humanity's greatest ideas emerge only after sunset? And what if your own brain still carries memories of a nighttime world that vanished only a few generations ago? To answer those questions, we have to travel back to a time when the only lights on Earth were fire, the moon, and the endless stars above. Imagine standing outside tonight with no streetlights, no houses glowing in the distance, no cars, no cities lighting up the horizon. Now imagine there isn't a single electric light anywhere on Earth. That's the world every one of your ancestors knew. For almost all of human history, sunset wasn't simply the end of the day. It was the arrival of an entirely different world. A world where familiar paths disappeared within minutes, where trees became dark silhouettes, where every rustle in the bushes could mean something was watching you. Today, darkness feels like an inconvenience. To ancient humans, it could mean death. Our ancestors were never the strongest animals on the landscape. They weren't the fastest. They didn't have claws, fangs, thick fur, or exceptional night vision. Compared to many predators, humans were surprisingly vulnerable. Leopards could move silently through the darkness. Hyenas hunted in coordinated groups. Wolves could detect movement long before humans even realized they were nearby. And unlike us, many of these predators were perfectly adapted to the night. Human eyes evolved for daylight. Once the sun disappeared, one of our greatest advantages disappeared with it. Think about that for a moment. During the day, humans could spot danger from a distance. At night, danger could be only a few steps away before anyone noticed. That's why darkness shaped nearly every decision our ancestors made. As the sun began to sink below the horizon, hunting slowed. Long journeys ended. Families and small bands gathered together instead of spreading apart. The goal was no longer finding food. The goal was surviving until sunrise. But humans possessed one advantage that no other species had learned to master: fire. Exactly when our ancestors first controlled fire is still debated, but archaeological evidence shows that humans were using it hundreds of thousands of years ago, transforming not only how they survived, but how they lived. At first, fire solved obvious problems. It provided warmth during freezing nights. It cooked food, making it easier to digest and safer to eat. It hardened wooden spears. It frightened many animals that instinctively avoided flames. But those practical benefits were only the beginning. Fire did something far more extraordinary. It created the world's first safe space after sunset. Picture a small group sitting around glowing embers in the middle of an endless wilderness. Beyond the light was uncertainty. Beyond the light were sounds no one could identify. Eyes reflecting in the darkness. Branches snapping somewhere beyond sight. But inside the circle of firelight, everything changed. People could finally relax. Children could play without wandering into complete darkness. Adults could repair tools, prepare food, or simply rest without constantly scanning every shadow. For the first time in human history, the day didn't have to end the moment the sun disappeared. Those flickering flames extended the human day by hours. It doesn't sound revolutionary today, but over thousands of generations, those extra hours accumulated into something extraordinary. Hour by hour, night after night, generation after generation, human life expanded beyond daylight. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have noticed something fascinating. When evening arrives, people naturally gather around the fire instead of remaining isolated. The fire becomes the center of the community, not because someone tells them to, because humans have been doing it for so long that it feels almost instinctive. The flames draw people together. Conversations begin. Laughter spreads. The stress of the day's hunt slowly fades. For the first time all day, survival isn't the only thing occupying everyone's mind. And that may have been one of the most important turning points in our evolution. Because once people were safe, once they were warm, once they had time that wasn't devoted to finding food or escaping predators, they gained something humanity had never truly possessed before: leisure. A few quiet hours with nowhere to go and nothing urgent to do. Those hours would end up changing our species forever. Because what happened around those ancient campfires wasn't just entertainment. It became the foundation of human culture itself.